Hi, this is Kevin Conroy, and you're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Welcome to The Pull Bag. Join us as we dig out our latest comics and discuss them with a rotating panel of the GCRN crew. So sit back and enjoy this week's Pull Bag.
Night after night, I watch over this city. But now someone stands in the shadows who knows my every move before I make it, stalking me. It ends tonight. Who do you work for?
Hello and welcome to The Pull Bag. This is episode 73. We are in the massive 75-year anniversary birthday celebration of the goddamn Batman here inside The Pull Bag. I am your host, TFG1Mike, and I sound normal tonight. Yay! Joining me is Steve Megatron. Hello.
Hello.
And tonight we are going to be continuing. We've already had coverage here in this massive Batman 75-year spotlight that we've got planned here in the Pull Bag. We've already had coverage from Batman 66, issues 5 through 8, Beware the Batman, chapters 1 through 4, the digital versions, Batman Year 1, Dark Knight Returns, and The Killing Joke, and now we're up to a Death in the Family. This was the public's choice whether Jason Todd should live or die, and they killed him.
Just like Damien.
Yeah. At least Todd's death was more emotional.
It was meaningful because Batman actually liked him. Oh wait, that's why he forever was tormented by the ghost of Jason Todd, but he still doesn't remember Damien anymore.
No, he's too busy trying to find Damien's body to revive him. Reminds me of an old Three Stooges short. Hey, you, take that jellyfish up and revive him. So yes, we are here to talk about the groundbreaking classic Batman, A Death in the Family. This is my first time ever reading this story. I've heard all kinds of stuff about the story. I've seen Batman Under the Red Hood, which kind of touches on it a little bit. But this is my first time reading this, and I did enjoy it. I thought it was really interesting. I have several problems with it, not story-wise, but just the way the art's laid out. Just to let everybody know, I am viewing this in a trade paperback from the public library. Steve is viewing it through single issues.
Yes.
I do like how the trade is presented. I think it's really interesting. It basically gives you, in the trade paperback, you have chapters 1 through 6 of Death in the Family. And then you have an afterword by Marv Wolfman. And then you have A Lonely Place of Dying, chapters 1 through 4. Or chapters 1 through 5. And then you have the alternate ending of Death in the Family of He's Alive! It's alive! Alive! Yes, Jason Todd is the monster. Batman is Frankenstein.
Also of note, comics at this time that this came out were $1.50.
Wow. Yeah, I remember those days. And I don't think Steve and I are going to go, like, sometimes JT and I, or sometimes myself and other people will go straight through a trade and bit by bit. I don't think that's what we're going to do here. I think we're just going to have an overall discussion on it. I do like the art. Now, this is something really interesting for me because I've said in previous episodes of the Pull Bag that the late 80s, early 90s art, specifically to the Marvel characters. I've absolutely just did not like it whatsoever. And it's not just because this is Batman or the Joker that I like the art. I wish he wasn't blue and yellow. I wish it was, black and gray and yellow, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, that really didn't start happening until the 90s anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
You started having a lot of the dark grays and the light gray with Dark Knight Returns, and this is it's around the same timeline, not as far as where the comics place, but as far as when it was made. But
when it was made, yeah.
I do find it interesting that every time they show like Bruce or somebody else, and they did this through the early 90s too, they always have like a blue tinge to the hair. If you look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same thing that Marvel did with Tony Stark. To show black hair, they made it blue tint. And I don't like that at all. I've never liked that. It's weird.
It doesn't bother me, only because I grew up on early DC Comics and saw Batman like that.
Yeah. It just, sure, I don't mind it on Batman when he has his stupid cowl on, but I'm sorry, Jason Todd with blue hair, a yellow cape, and a red and green costume, the blue just does not go. So we start off, and Jason Todd, aka the new Robin, is basically taking unnecessary risks. We get into the fact that he goes off and wanders and ends up coming to his old stomping grounds. As this is going on, the Joker has escaped Arkham again. And just looking at that Gotham Post newspaper, I so flashed to BTAS Joker here. I know this Joker, his chin is a little bit more pronounced than that one is. But that the page where he says the Joker knows when it's time to take a vacation looks so BTAS. I know this was before BTAS, but I'm just saying that
it's so cornballish, though.
Yeah. So the Joker is basically broke, and he's going to sell this missile that he dismantles and reassembles himself, which is not a good thing. As I said, at the same time, we've got Jason going to his own old homestead. He meets a lady there who saved some of his old things. And something that really, really changes his life. He finds out that Catherine Todd is not his real mother.
Dun dun dun.
So he then goes on a search for who his real mother is. He narrows it down to 3 different people. One is a super secret agent lady. The other is Lady Shiva. Come on, I don't know a lot of about these old comics, but I know who Lady Shiva is, and I knew as soon as I saw the name Shiva, whatever her last name is, I was like, yeah, there's no way in hell that's his mom.
Nope.
What do you think of the Batmobile in this?
It's kind of reminiscent of the old school. Kind of. It's got that 70s. It's got the 60s look mixed with some of the 70s style Batmobile, and I love how the cowl is indented black on the hood.
Yeah.
With the headlights being the eyes.
Yeah. I'm looking at the image of him coming back to the Batcave, where he's asking Alfred, what's the trouble? That panel right there where he's getting out of the Batmobile, it looks like a giant battery to me. It looks like a C or a D battery from Duracell. painted. I swear, if you look at that angle and the way that it is, it looks like a weird old battery to me. I don't know why. I mean, I don't dislike it. What I do dislike, though, about this book and about this story, do they really need to do multicolor uh, dialogue for the monologue? Like in the next issue, in the trade, it's called Chapter 2. The northwestern Mediterranean coast of Lebanon. Before coming here, I checked in with Ralph Bundy, a friend of mine at the CIA. If I got to examine the plane before it took off. Now, as it's going down the page, it starts as a green background with black text, and then it moves to pink with black text. And I'm like, why do you need to... I don't know. Maybe I'm just so used to the standard today. Like when you see a Batman monologue, it's a grayish black background with white text. Or the Nightwing monologue of today where it's a red and blue kind of thing.
No, I definitely like some aspects of the old school kind of look here.
I do. I just don't like the background color changing constantly.
Well, it was a brighter time, too, and you got to figure detail has come a long way since then, so they can give more accurate colors and likenesses without having to use shading effects.
That's true. I think the other problem I have is with it is usually when there's multiple color monologues, it's more than one character. And with this all being Batman, I wish it was just one background color with the black text. I'm not saying it has to be black or blue. It doesn't matter what color. It didn't matter what color it was, as long as it was just one color. That's my only real problem with it, and it's not something that is going to force me to lower my score on the story at all. It's just something that kind of bothered me as I read along through it. So in Chapter 2, Robin goes down to the Batcave and figures out that the first of his 3 targets is in Beirut. Lady Shiva is also in Beirut. I love how they actually give us translations from certain languages, and it's basically in parentheses. In the translation, Bruce says, "Take me to the worst section of this city, a place where criminals gather," and the cabbie's like, "Huh?" I thought that was really cool. What are your thoughts so far on the story?
I get it, but I am kind of unimpressed so far. But I think it's also because I have nostalgia for like the Nightfall, so I remember how that was written. And for the most part, I mean, yeah, there's been a little bit of action, but it's got almost that. It definitely has the 80s comic feel to it. With it, it's almost got some of the 60s cheese to it.
Yeah, like
which
Batman
I'm fine with, but
yeah.
I think I mean this is just basically this issue is just a setup for what's to come.
Yeah. Now, see, for me, like you mentioned the '60s kind of coming through to it, and you're right, it does. But for me, it's like anytime Batman calls him lad. Anytime Batman uses 60s lingo, it just takes me out of the story. It really does. And you're right, it is this part of the story is all set up for what'll happen later. I will say I do enjoy the rocket-powered bat gliders. Those are cool.
Yeah, I've seen that before in G.I. Joe, though.
Well, yeah. So the Joker is here to make his deal, and his deal goes sour. His money is destroyed. The spy gets caught. Batman and Robin are battling, and the missile blows up. It is really, really interesting, and it's interesting how I like how they turn the tables on the spy about asking. They ask her something, and she says it's classified information, and then she asks them something, and they say it's classified information. I thought that was kind of a nice little twist. As the story went through when I was reading it, I did find myself really enjoying it. So we get to the second target, which is Lady Shiva, and they have a huge battle. The art I like, but I'm not... It doesn't blow me away. It really doesn't. I don't know what it is. I don't know, maybe it's because it's the old style and not what I'm used to, but I'm not basing... When I read this and looked at it for the art, I wasn't basing it on what I've read today. I was just, okay, this is, a Batman story. I'm reading the Batman story. The art is what it is. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the thing about this is this is the part of the beginning of Batman's running into becoming the Dark Knight.
Right.
This story is actually like the second in the line, because in the comic edition of it, kind of a reissue of sorts, it's got like a Batman 101 type thing, kind of displaying more or less the saga of how things kind of turn out through some of the aspects of it. But the other problem I have with, at least as far as the first issue goes, is when the warhead is destroyed.
Yeah.
They say the Joker's a nuclear engineer. And then Batman's like, oh, we're lucky the warhead didn't detonate. And then the Joker's crying about his money being burnt to a crisp, which I've never, even in the animated series, I never really took him for somebody that had to have money. He's more of that psychotic, like, I'm going to just do it for the shits and giggles of it.
Yeah, he's never been shown to actually need, well, he needs money, but he's never actually been shown to really want it. The only times that I've seen that he really wants it is because he needs it or because he's broke, but it's not his sole focus. Like you said, he'll still pull a stunt whether he's getting paid or not. If there's a good sick laugh in it, he'll do it. End of story. So,
yeah.
So we find out that Lady Shiva is not his father, or not his mother. So that's, like I said before, a good thing. I don't like the looks on their, like, after this is into chapter 4. I assume it's issue 4 for you. I don't know. It's them driving in the Jeep thing. They're in the market, and Batman's saying, when I return to Gotham, I'll send out another check to help the effort and try to forget what I've seen here. I'm no different from anyone else. The looks on their faces are just... Jason Todd looks so Dick Grayson-like in that look. Like, he looks like Burt Ward frowning from the 60s show. It just... I don't know, the art is not grabbing me. The story grabbed me, but it didn't, like, pull on my heartstrings at all. For the simple fact that, we find out that his real mother, Sheila, is working for the Joker because she also embezzled stuff from this refugee relief thing. The Joker shows up, and basically we have an all-out battle.
I think it's funny they show the Joker with his long face and
Yeah.
without the makeup on.
Yeah.
I prefer it when it's, you know, etched into his face, but
Yeah. It's a little strange seeing him this way, but at the same time, I keep envisioning that guy that was in the shadows in Mask of the Phantasm. Like, this is what he would not necessarily look like in the BTAS style, but yeah, you're right. It is a little weird not to see him with his makeup on. Um, so, Batman and Todd get back together. Let's see here. Batman flies off in the Batcopter. So Batman flies off, and his mother basically sets him up.
I know that's horrible.
Yeah, very horrible. His mother sets him up because she was afraid that if people found out that what she and the Joker were doing with, the medical supplies, that they would look into and see the fact that she was also embezzling the money. And we get what I've heard about for so long about this massive, massive beating of the Joker to Jason Todd. And it's not as epic as I thought it was going to be. It was more epic in Under the Red Hood for me than it was here.
I mean, I see it in both, but the mother thing kind of adds an extra insult to injury to his persona, but it also
does, yes.
eliminating her for Under the Red Hood, and just having the Joker do it just for shits and giggles. I like it more that way because he's just that kind of sadistic bastard.
Yeah.
But it's a different time now, whereas, now they don't need that extra scapegoat, whereas before, yeah, he was crazy, but to add the insult to injury of his mother turning him into the Joker, that's just pure evil.
Yeah, that's pure evil on her part, regardless. But, I've heard about this scene for years, and people say it was so epic and everything. You know what would be really epic? It would be as if there was a comic version of this done in the Under the Red Hood style, like a novelette. Like, you know how sometimes movie novelizations incorporate stuff that isn't actually in the film? If they did a comic adaptation of Under the Red Hood, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
For this story with his mother really doing that and have it in the dark style, I might like it more. Don't get me wrong, I don't dislike this story. It's a really screwed up and interesting story to see what, Jason Todd's origins here. But so Batman basically is racing back, and Joker has tied Robin and his mother to a bomb. I do like the paneling of the bomb timer as it counts down and to see what they're doing. They do get free, they do get to the door, but Jason shields his mother and she will eventually die. But he dies instantaneously, and that final page where Batman is just saying, "Jason, oh my God," that is epic. I will say, in this art style, that is an epic piece of art.
Yeah, and the funny thing is all this is 5 minutes in Death of the Family. Or Death of Under the Red Hood, I mean.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have at least in the trade, we have the original advertisement. Phone numbers are no longer valid. Robin will die because the Joker wants revenge, but you can prevent it with a telephone call. Oh boy, this really This is really funny, and this is really, really sad if you think about it. The number to have the Joker fail and Robin live, 1-900-720-2660. The number for the Joker to succeed and kill Robin, 1-900-720-2666. I don't know why they just didn't put 4 6s in there.
Who knows?
And it's interesting to me that back then, you will be charged 50 cents for each call, which will be connected to an acknowledgement message. 900 numbers, oh boy. So, we have Chapter 5 of Death in the Family. The cover for this is, at least here in the trade, it's basically Jason in the Robin suit with rubble all around his face. Oh man, it's just really, really epic. Did you say they were $1.50?
Yeah.
On this cover, it says number 428, US 75 cents, Canada $1. Huh.
Yeah, this particular issue is.
Yeah. So we've got Batman basically asking himself, how could he be so stupid? And this chapter and the next chapter are basically him, dealing with the aftermath, kind of reflecting on his time with Jason. He's really just going all out and he doesn't care anymore. He finds Sheila, Jason's mother, and she, has her final words with Batman. And, he goes up to Jason's body and he finds it, and, he's like, I'm not even going to check for a pulse, but I do so anyway. Nothing. He's lost him. He's already getting cold to the touch, gone. Now that is heart-wrenching. I will admit, that is very heart-wrenching, especially the next kind of full-page spread here with him carrying him, which is kind of they reversed that for the actual cover of the trade. If you look at that page and you see him carrying Robin, on the cover of the trade, it's basically that image, except it's him holding Robin with his head around Batman's left shoulder. But it's nuts. I mean, it's really nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So back to the Joker. He's gonna make his deal with these medical supplies, and they have a better deal for him. They want to make him a delegate of the Iran affair. Do they really have to do this? Seriously? Do they not know what this guy is capable of? We then get Batman as a detective as he sees the note in blood on the wall. B, see you at 42nd and 1st. J. He figures out it's not Gotham. It's not Metropolis. It's New York City. Because that's where the UN building is. And we get an appearance from Superman. What do you think of this?
I didn't expect that.
Yeah, me either. Again, I get it was the style of the time, but having these two characters in the same panels now as the bright... Okay, granted, Batman's not that bright, but the blue is kind of bright. It's not, like what we would have later with the black, but it just seems like these are two bright characters here. And I do love how how he basically he wants Superman knows who this new delegate is, and he's telling Batman that the president and everybody else in the government says that, you know, you cannot touch this guy, you cannot do it. Tell me who, and he slugs Superman like a broken knuckle slug, and he even says, I think I broke a couple of knuckles. No, but they're badly bruised. What I love about Batman and Superman's relationship is that Batman can get away with punching Superman and only come away with bruises. And that's only because, you know, Superman rolled with the punches.
I know, it's awesome seeing Batman get to deck Superman. Even though it doesn't hurt him, it's the only way he can get his point across.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the issue ends with we find out who the new delegate is, and it is the Joker. He looks so off in that suit.
It's so 60s cheese on that.
It just, oh my god. And then, like, it would have been better if he showed up in the top hat and tails, honestly. The cover to the last issue. Robin is dead, murdered by the Joker, and Batman can do nothing about it. Or can he? Now, this cover here, showing Joker with the top hat and the monocle, this Joker face, the way that the chin is up, this reminds me of Jack of Nicholson in '89. Very, very cool. So we get to the final chapter, and we see that the government and Superman are going to stop him at any cost from doing anything to the Joker. And then he gets this bright idea, well, if Batman can't do anything, then Bruce Wayne surely can, because, hey, nobody knows my secret identity.
It's funny how Batman and Superman argue even as early as this, and the government, of course, sends Superman. That was like the thing in the 80s. Even in The Dark Knight Returns, they have Superman working for the president, and Batman calls him Boy Scout.
Yeah.
In both. And basically he's the Pentagon's bitch. And Bruce is like, screw you.
Yeah. So Joker's master plan here is basically to get into this UN summit, and that's how he's gonna get his mass murder rocks off. Is he's gonna kill the entire UN, the UN General Assembly. That's a lot of people to kill.
Yeah,
a lot of people to kill. Now, did you think the whole time in this scene that they were talking in Joker's little office here, did you think that Batman was recording it? Because that's what I thought.
I didn't think that. I think he was just going to beat his ass.
See, I don't think he was, because he sits there and goes through the trouble of listening to the Joker basically confess to his crimes. And then he walks away and doesn't do anything. And he leaves. That's why I'm asking, do you think that Batman was recording this somehow? He doesn't know. Obviously he wasn't, because that never comes out that he was. But it just, I don't know, it made me think that he was recording it. And then, gone. I hate it when he does that.
I mean, it would make sense.
Yeah.
That'd be the only way he could really touch him, by turning in evidence.
That's my point, is that they said, unless we have evidence, you know. What do you think of the multi-panel of Bruce Joker? I may never know. I'm feeling a terrible sense of finality. It's on the next page where the two of them are. It's interesting. I'll say that. It's interesting to me that Bruce has a purplish, bluish tie with a black jacket on. It's like, hey, you want to know if I'm Batman? Here you go. Look at the colors. So, overall, I really like the story because in the end, Batman stops the Joker from blowing everything up. We do see that everything with the Joker and Batman is always unresolved. It's like this decade-long battle, or multi-year-long battle that never has a true winner on either side, and it's very interesting to me.
I think it's funny that Superman takes the gas and then he flies away to get rid of it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
But it's funny because he's talking, so it can't possibly be in his lungs, so he's probably going to, let it out the other end. But take it over to Iran and let them have it.
Oh my god.
The super kryptonite fart. And then he basically tells Batman, he's all yours,
Now, see, again, this is what I'm saying. Like, okay, sure, Superman, because he was disguised as mild-mannered reporter Clark Kent, saw that the Joker was going to blow up the building. But if Batman... And maybe I'm just stuck on this, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. If Batman wasn't recording this and didn't give it to Superman, how would Clark even be the... I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying to find fault where there isn't any. Like I said, it's not my favorite art style, but it's not so jarring as some of the Marvel stuff. And I think some of the Marvel stuff that I've read that's kind of old, like Iron Man Armor Wars or Stark Wars, like that was a little bit too bright. This is bright, but it's not like overpowering to me. A Death in the Family, I liked it. It was very climactic. It did leave you kind of on the edge of your seat. I think it did a much better job, other than the constant dialogue box change color background. But that's a nitpick on my part. What about you overall for A Death in the Family?
Overall, I think it was really good. I think at points it almost could have been trimmed.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely see the resemblances there on certain things, and it was nice showing a little bit more of what happens after the time that Jason was killed.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just kind of... I mean, I was aware that he died. Because they even flashed back to part of it in Nightfall, which wasn't too many more issues after this took place.
How long is Nightfall?
Nightfall is an all-encompassing across many of the DC comics.
I think
it started in like the 480s somewhere, I want to say. Yeah, it started in the 460s or 50s or something, because they made a big deal about going issue 500 because John Paul Valley, Azrael, becomes Batman for a while because Bane broke Batman's back.
Right.
And Tim Drake is Robin at the time.
Yeah.
So Tim Drake is having to be the moral compass for the John Paul Valley at that point. So I think, because I used to have the issues, I want to say it's somewhere around the 450s or 60s that the Nightfall event starts taking place, or at least starts up to getting closer to Nightfall. It might be the 460s where it actually starts really taking place, because it's a 3-part saga. It's like Nightfall, Night's End, and something else. But by the end of it, Batman Bruce Wayne ends up Batman again, in a similar cape and cowl. This cape and cowl pretty much is consistent through the 500s. Or at least part of it, because then they go somewhere shortly after they end up hitting the what is it called, the Hush timeline, and then they do like the No Man's Land and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I'm as I'm going through all these old Batman books, I'm trying to figure out. I told this story way back in episode 3 of the podcast when we did our Origins episodes for each other. There was a Batman book. It was fairly big that my mom had gotten me at some consignment shop back in the late 80s. And it scared the crap out of me. It was not this bright colors. It was the dark stuff. And I'm still trying to figure out what it was. It might have been... Nightfall wasn't dark, was it?
Batman wasn't, but everything else was.
Okay.
And it was pretty morbid at points. I mean, you saw every villain escape out of Arkham.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
It's definitely that's one of the other tales that you just have to read.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, no. We'll probably do that next year for the Batman Spotlight in May. 'Cause after these 10 or 12 episodes for the 75th anniversary celebration, I'm probably going to be pretty much Batmaned out. Any other final thoughts before we close this one out?
No, it's definitely showing how twisted the Joker can be. I do think that the Joker is more creepy in Death of the Family, sabotaging the entire family unit. I still would have liked to have seen him kill someone in it.
Yeah.
But him toying with their brains and screwing with how well he knows them all, I think fit really well too. So, I mean, I can kind of see part of the correlation, but I almost don't see them related.
Yeah, no. I don't see them related, but it's a thing of that, I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic of having to, not necessarily having to reuse the title of this as the title of that and just changing it to Death of the Family. I will say that I did like Death of the Family, not necessarily more than this story, but I did like what the Joker there was trying to do and trying to say. And I do understand that he was basically saying, look, all these people you surround yourself with are taking away from your true greatness. I get that. Still, somebody should have died. The Joker should have killed Damian Wayne. For me, based off of the GCRN Universal Rating System, I'm going to give this 3.5 stars, which is liked it. Like I said before, there are parts in it where I was just so confused with some of the monologuing from Batman because of the color changes. And I know that's a little nitpick, but I didn't have, maybe it's because I didn't read this as a kid. I didn't have the emotional connection to Jason Todd's death reading this. I mean, it's very tragic, but what makes it more tragic for me reading this storyline is the fact that his mother set him up versus what the Joker actually does to him.
Yeah, I kind of agree. It's very sadistic.
Yeah. What about you? What are you gonna rate it?
I'll probably give it a 3.5 out of 5, just because it's good.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I really don't see any things that could have really been altered, because it was giving some background information and giving motivation for why he was over there in the first place.
Yeah.
So it does give some insight into all of the surrounding the event that took place in 5 minutes of Under the Red Hood. But it's also kind of, it's interesting. I'll just say that.
Yeah, it is very, very interesting. All right. Where can the people interact with you online if they would like to do so, sir?
Well, they can contact me on Twitter at SCP21.
You can also find me on Twitter at TFG1Mike, and you can also follow at Geekcast Radio for all the other network updates, as well as head on over to geekcastradio.com. Coming up next in Batman Month, we've got Beware the Batman, chapters 6 through 10, and then episode 75 of the Pull Bag is Batman, 75 Years of the Cape and Cowl. Make your great escape into comics, and we will catch you next time.
It's been 5 years, and the Geekcast Radio Network would like to give back to you. How, you may ask? Well, first of all, we're coming up with a brand new website to be launched June 1st, 2014. In addition to that, there'll be many new features for interactive abilities. So how do you enter into this magical celebration? Well, Geekcast Radio has a contest where you can win some awesome prizes, ranging from comics, Blu-rays, DVDs, trade paperbacks, and comics, and more. How do you enter? Write in your favorite stories of how the Geekcast Radio Network has affected you in the last 5 years, and how it's unleashed the geek in you. You can also enter by writing reviews on our shows on iTunes. For more information, visit www.geekcastradio.com and click on the banner. So until next time, unleash the geek in you. You just heard the latest episode of The Pull Bag, GCRN's comic book review podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you were leaving the message for, and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. You can send us an email, feedback@geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter @GeekcastRadio. So until next time, unleash the geek in you.